Nail or beauty school was just the beginning, right? What on earth do you do now? Welcome to the Salon Success Podcast with Monaco Nail Academy. Our topics stretch beyond nails and into all things salon related, business, marketing, and social media, and at the very least hits you with real, honest stories about our experiences. This isn't school, this is real life, real business, and really freaking hard work. Before we get started wherever you are, thumbs up, tag a friend in the comments, or hit that share button and support small business. Hey guys, Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today I'm joined by Pat.
Hi.
And Mel.
Hi.
And we've got Becca with us.
Kia ora.
And we're going to be talking about email marketing for salons.
And just a reminder before we get started to use my code Becca for 10% off all courses.
My code is Patsadev if you want to use my code instead.
Before we get stuck into email marketing, let's revisit last week's episode. Mel, you're good at recaps. What were we talking about?
Last week we talked about how to be unquittable. Either us ourselves or what makes a service unquittable for us, which it was a bit of a struggle.
But why was it a struggle?
Because it's early in the morning and Penny likes to get up early and I do not.
I think though also it was a struggle because it turns out we all quit a lot of things. Like try to discuss how to be unquittable and we're like, I don't know, we quit everything. So do any of you guys have an email marketing list for your salons?
No.
No. I thought about starting one before and then I did, and then I deleted the website. And changed my URL. So starting from scratch.
I have used my booking system, Fresher, to send emails before, but not very often, and usually because for something specific like a price increase, for example.
Well, I guess we've talked previously about like the 80-20 rule, 80% value, 20% sales, and you're using yours more in the 20 zone?
100%, yeah. I think I sent it over email for the previous 2 years, and then this year I tried just putting a sign up for my clients and just telling them at their appointment that it would be more next appointment. So I haven't even used it this year at all.
I think it's really interesting. So, okay, here are the reasons that I wanted this to be a topic. Like, this is why I wanted to talk about it. Because when you look at, like, all of the marketing stuff, I listen to lots of podcasts, I do lots of research, like, we teach marketing and stuff, so I am trying to stay in it so that we can teach it well. And a lot of the stuff that I follow is more advice on how to market Monaco, like how to market an online business. And it is very different to a salon, but they make a lot of very valid points that I think should be transferred to a salon. One of the things is you don't own your followers on any of your socials. Like Facebook can have a hissy fit and say that you violated some rule and lock your page for the next 2 months or indefinitely or whatever they want, anytime they want to, and you can do nothing about it, even if you spent all that time and energy building up your following. Instagram could shut down tomorrow. TikTok's threatening to shut down, right? Or whatever, I don't know the things, I don't follow it.
They definitely kicked the Americans out of TikTok, yeah.
Or America banned it, right? Because of security issues.
And so now if you try and log on, it'll have this. You can't log in.
I think Donald Trump has reversed it now. I don't know. It's all very confusing.
I don't know if they've changed it, yeah.
So if someone had built up a massive TikTok following, that's screwed now. You don't own your followers no matter where you are. What you do own is the contact details of the people that register with you. And so that could be your client database on your booking software. You own that. You pay that company to hold that data for you, and legally you do own it because Privacy Act, you have to still have access to that data to be able to go back to it. Same thing with email marketing is if someone registers for that, you are generally paying, and it doesn't have to be that much money in there. There are free ones available, but you are paying or have a contract with a company to be holding that data for you. It's an email list that you created, curated, collected, whatever. And so even if you change email marketing software companies, you just export that list and then re-import it or upload it into the new software. You still have all of those contacts. You can export them at any time you want, so you have a backup so that if that company shuts down, you still have your email list of people. And so that is one reason that having email marketing in your salon is like super important, so that you have that backup plan. But there are other reasons as well, and they tie into the know, like, and trust, the 80-20 rule, the things that, like, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, go back. I was going to say scroll back. Go back to the previous episodes where we talk about those. But, like, basically building value, getting people to see you as valuable, getting people to know you, to like you, to trust you, and basically setting yourself apart from all the other salons. Because when I said to you, do any of you do email marketing? I know you don't. Statistically. I don't know you don't because I know you don't. I just know that statistically the chances of you saying yes are pretty freaking low. And so if we're always trying to set ourselves apart from other salons and differentiate instead of compete, this is definitely one way that we can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I do, like, when I was thinking about this topic, I do get a lot of emails from different businesses that I visited. And sometimes if I'm feeling in a particularly like organized mood, I might unsubscribe. But otherwise, I'm getting that all the time and I'm being reminded they exist. Even if I don't read every word, I'm like, oh, that's right. I went to that place for a massage once. I wonder. And then next time I need a massage, right? They might be top of mind a little bit more.
And even though, like, you do get those emails, right? And that's one of the advantages, because even if someone follows you or follows you on Instagram, likes you on Facebook, there's no guarantee they're going to see every one of your posts. That's just how it is nowadays. You're not going to see every post. But if you subscribe for the email, you get all of the emails that you've been set up to receive. But B, most beauty or service providers tend to only do the 20% posts where they're just like sending you like, we have a sale, or like, get this voucher, blah, blah, blah. You don't really see a lot of the 80% or value posts as much in our industry, if they even have email marketing. Whereas in other industries like coaching or business marketing, then you see a lot of, or like even finance, it'll be like, here's free information that's relevant to your life or business that you could totally use, and it's free. Whereas in our industry, if you even have email marketing, it's more like price increase, or we're doing this promo. So that's like a major advantage for us if we do get into it, because it's like different and new.
What would that like 80% even look like to my clients?
Yeah, so this is definitely why I wanted to have a whole episode around this, because 100% when I am saying let's do email marketing for salons, I am saying let's do the 80. Like, because I do agree that everything you guys have just said, like all of the things I'm subscribed to, they are 20%. Like, they are all salesy. Like, everything I get from people in our industry is this thing is on special this week. Everything that I get from most companies is this is on special this week. And I stay subscribed and I click it and I have a very, very, very quick scroll to see if anything catches my interest, and then I delete it. And then there are businesses in online marketing and like business coaching and stuff that will do 80% emails. Like as in emails that are value driven, not sales driven. And that's where I think we can differentiate. So what I'm trying to do with like Monaco's newsletter is every Tuesday we send out a newsletter, and where a link is relevant, like I will hyperlink a word, if I mention a course because it's relevant to what I'm talking about, I will link to the course. But generally, it's a story. It's there for entertainment or education, which, going back to when we talked about like quality content with Keita in that episode, like education and entertainment were two of the number one reasons to be putting content out there. So I don't think I do it perfectly all the time, but definitely what I'm trying to do with the Monaco newsletter is have a story for entertainment or education or inspiration, and then inadvertently add the 20% by hyperlinking to stuff. And we do have like a little section at the bottom that's like, here's what else we love this week, that is 5 things that are linked on purpose, but it's like a specific section of the email. So in terms of how do we do that with salons, I think it does require quite a mental shift. Like, so right now, like, I know the four of us in different ways have been working on like batching content, getting better at our social content and stuff. And there's quite a mental shift that happens around going like, oh, that was content. Like when you're not in the right habit, you can have an entire day go by and you're like, oh, I've got nothing to post. But when you get into a real good habit, everything is content. Like, and I think we're all in like reasonably good phases of understanding that right now, where you like knock over your cup of tea, the first thought that goes in your brain is like content. You take a photo before you clean it up because it's relatable. The dog does something dumb, you take a photo, that's content. Like baby alpaca, content. New products arrive, content. Like, and so I think that we need to be thinking of like topics for emails in the same way. Because if you guys think back to your last 7 days in salon, or as like, even if you didn't do a client, for Mel, I know for sure that you got a product delivery in the last week. So there's a story in like, it could probably swing quite 20, like it could swing to like, look at these new things I've got that you should buy. But I know that off the top of my head, that is something that happened in your salon this week. Like you got a delivery, and so it can become a story about trends that are happening or new things or how things work. Or you can still have like, you know, some of the Monaco emails are educational about like chemistry and biology and stuff, interspersed with more like silly entertaining ones. So you could have one that's like, this is how cuticle oil works. My social posts for my salon, I have a couple of captions in rotation that are meant to be educational, that are saying in long form why I don't do gel on children, or answering how it magically dries so quickly, because you get those comments all the time like, oh, this is magic. So I have a rotational caption that's like, how does it dry? Well, actually, this is what's happening. And I've written it in a very different way when targeting my clients as I would to targeting a Monaco student. It's very much more like layman's terms, like just trying to be like, hey, isn't this cool that it's like actually science, rather than trying to get them to understand and be able to re-explain it kind of thing. But like stuff is happening in your salons all the time. Even if you don't have any clients, you do a lesson and something happens, or like just silly shit is happening constantly. Mel just told us a story in last week's episode about a conversation with her boss about having nails done. That can be turned into a story.
Like for me, emails just aren't on my radar, and I don't really know why. But like you say, with that product delivery, I took a photo, I sent it to you to use. I will use it. Then I took a video of me like unpacking it, and then I did a live of me swatching it all. Like all of that came from that one thing, but it didn't even cross my mind to do an email because I just don't do emails. And that could just add to the list of ways I could use that one thing happening, that one delivery.
But like off the top of your guys' heads, in the last week, month, whatever, like tell me quick fire 3 random things that have happened related to your business in the last week or month.
I sprained my ankle, so I haven't really been doing any work. So I could totally talk about the transition from having to be carried out of the park, go Roy, to being in a moon boot and then being in an ankle brace, and now I have to see a physio. So yeah, that's quite a few things.
And the thing is that if someone has just subscribed to your newsletter and the first thing that they get is an email talking about how you are in a moon boot, potentially not relatable, but we're not thinking about the person that just subscribed, because what you can do is set up automations so that the person gets like your 3 most popular emails you've ever sent go out to them, and they have no idea that it's not the normal one that went out to everyone else. And then the 4th week, they automatically get added to your main list. So if you're sending stories about moon boots, you can have set an automation up where actually when someone first subscribes, the first email they ever get looks like a normal weekly newsletter, but it's a story about how gel dries so quickly in the lamp. And week 2, they get an email that looks like a normal weekly newsletter, but it is a story about not doing gel on kids and why you don't. And or maybe in between those, there's a more like inspirational one or silly one or like nail art inspo or trends that you're seeing this season. And then week 4, the automation magically moves them into your normal list and they start getting emails about things like moon boots. So although yes, like the moon boot story might not be relatable until you already know, like, and trust Pat, but you can set up the emails so that that happens before they start getting those stories. And then if you are in a quote unquote relationship with Pat, because we say we sell relationships, not services, and we are moving people from cold to warm to hot audiences. So as long as you are in the warm audience, which you are, if you're subscribed to something, you've already committed to being subscribed, then you now do care. And so as long as like you can take a story about a moon boot and ramp it up in a way that makes it interesting, like we talk all the freaking time because I'm obsessed with it about Mel's post about her mop. If Mel can take a photo of a mop and make me be like, I know that Mel is so consistently entertaining in her captions that even though this is a mop, I am going to read the caption because I know, talking about consistency in last week's episode, I know that no matter what this caption is and how it relates to this mop, it will entertain me or educate me because Mel's captions are consistent. So if Pat's emails are consistently entertaining or inspirational or educational, and I know I'm consistently getting something out of it, I will read a story about a moon boot. And what that will do is continue building the relationship I have, even if I'm only warm audience and I've never booked before. I already feel like I kind of know Pat. So reading a story about, if you can put a spin on it, like I don't know the story of how you hurt yourself, but if there's a way to put a spin on it that is funny, like the way that you hurt yourself is so ridiculous that it's funny, so you tell it from humor, or there's a moral at the end of the story, or the story is not so much about the moon boot, but about the incredible service you got from the nurse at the hospital and how that turned your day around. And so it's like when someone reads the story, they feel really good because they're like, oh, what a lovely story about this person that helped Pat. Or it could be about the ways that you had to change your week. And it's like a little bit of like an inspirational thing about like, hey, sometimes we get shit kicked at us and we have to completely pivot and change everything. So this is how I got through the week, even though this awful thing happened. Instead, these are the silver linings, and it becomes an inspirational story. Like, you're not just saying, dear diary, today I hurt myself and I'm in a moon boot. You have to be able to take it and like, I guess, and not to just go totally up Mel's butt, but like the other thing Mel is really good at is very specifically targeting her avatar. So if Mel was the moon Buddha and she's writing that story directly to her avatar Juno, it's going to relate and resonate with the people reading it, and it is going to make them be like, like I love that person, like, oh, or have empathy. Oh, I know I've never actually booked with Pat before, but I feel so bad for her, or I feel so like I know her better now. Even though the first quick fire idea you guys had is Pat's like, well, I haven't freaking worked because I've been hurt. There are 7 different angles I've just given you on how that's still a story.
Mine was going to be like when self-care backfires, because I was trying to log how much sleep I was getting because sleep is important for your mental health, and walking my dog at the same time when I tripped on a pothole and twisted my ankle. So sometimes self-care backfires.
It could also be how multitasking is like the subject line could be like how multitasking is actually like a total farce.
Absolutely. And you could spin that around like, oh, well, come get your nails done and, do one thing. Because a lot of my clients are like, oh, I haven't stopped all day, right? I've just been looking at my phone and doing stuff all day, and now I get to do one thing.
And some people will literally be like getting their nails done and still working. And it's like,
I know.
If that's what you want, okay. But if this is the time to shut off, then like put your phone down or just watch reels. Becca, you should talk about alpacas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really new to report, particularly with my lovely alpacas. We do think our girl might be pregnant again, so we might have another baby in a few months. But yeah, I've just been sitting here thinking about what happened over the last couple of months, and the only thing I can think of is I fired a client. But obviously wouldn't want to spin that. Like feel like a lot of the things I think of when I think of like a value-driven email are stuff for other nail techs rather than for, and I think that's partly because of my involvement with Monaco, right? I'm also thinking about what other nail techs would like. But I think stuff for clients is more difficult. So I'm finding this really useful, Penny. Yeah.
Is that when you're thinking of value for Monaco, for example, or like when when you think about the fact that you had to fire a client, you're thinking about value in this is slightly making an assumption, so you might correct me, but like in an educational way. Like
Yes.
you're thinking of sharing that information under the education umbrella, not the entertainment or the inspiration umbrella.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yep. I'm with
any
you.
of the stories that you guys have can be spun to be under a different umbrella. And so if you're talking about like having to fire a client, like what information can you share with us about that circumstance?
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of trusting your instincts. I sort of knew as soon as she walked in the door and started talking that there was quite a few red flags, trying to talk me down on price, trying to rush me, um, just trusting your instincts. And I should have, looking back, the lesson for me was I should have said, like, look, sorry, you haven't booked for enough time for what you want. But instead, I tried to make her happy and push through and get it done, right? And then, of course, she complained and said it wasn't, the quality she was expecting, even though I'd said to her, like, look, we don't have time, but I'm going to do my best to get this done for you. And so, I just said, okay, that's fine. I actually gave her a partial refund because I was like, I wasn't going to pay you to never see you again right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, because she said to me, oh, I'll come back to fix it. And I was like, no, you're not. This will be our last transaction. All the best for the future, because she just made me really uncomfortable. Not to mention, about partway through, she started ranting at me about asking me a lot of, very deep personal questions about religion and things like that. So it was just terrible from start to finish, basically. So I felt very, good about that decision. But it's the first time I've ever done that. Ever said to someone, no, not all money is good money, and I'd rather not see you again. Thank you very much.
Hey team, Penny from the future here, interrupting to tell you about something super cool. If you're an aspiring nail tech ready to take the first step towards your dream career, our free 5-day Nail Tech Launchpad is here to help you decide if this is the right path for you. 5 videos over 5 days, giving you a taste of what it's like to be a nail technician, an overview of the basics, and insight into whether this career fits your lifestyle and budget. It's totally free, can be done in your own time with less than a 2-hour total commitment, and it starts on Monday. Sign up today and start your journey to becoming a nail tech at www.monaco.ac.nz/launchpad. I think the thing is, as well though, the way to spin that is to remember that your email list is not just the hot category, as in people who have purchased from you. So if you're going to email everyone that already comes to you as a client and talk about firing clients, that's one category. However, who we want on the email marketing list is sure the hot people, but the warm people who have not booked yet. And so if you think of it from perspective that you are talking to someone who has not booked, it's not just that they haven't booked with you, they may not have booked with anyone. So if you want to take the education perspective, that can be a newsletter on making sure a salon is right for you and how these are the things you're looking for in a salon that are beyond can they do nails or can they do hair. It might be a list of like, here's an experience I had and this is why you should make sure that you're going to the right person. It's okay to quit a salon and book with, and like that, like you can spin it so that if you think about talking to people who aren't actually with you, you can still be educating the general public on how to choose a salon.
Yes, that's a very good point. And yeah, like just thinking like you say, because a lot of people come in who've never done salon, like been to a salon before and have no idea about what we mean by different products and things like that. So like, yeah, that's a really good point, kind of targeting those people and making sure that they feel comfortable, feel like they know you enough to book, right?
Yeah, and then like every now and then, because you want the inspirational, entertainment, educational stuff, but some of them can kind of slide into more 20% educational, where you could also have one that is a newsletter that's more teaching people how to know how much time to book for nail art. And it
Absolutely.
can be turned into an entertaining story that is going like
Right.
the thing is that it's really hard to know, like, for you guys, the general public, the clients, to know how long something is going to take, because
Exactly.
here is a picture of a galaxy nail that took me 17 seconds because they look incredibly impressive, but they are so freaking easy. Here is a picture of a godforsaken checkerboard nail that looks like it's very simple, but took
Yeah.
25 minutes because
Yes.
it's so difficult to do correctly. And this is why when you want nail art, like, here are some examples of what I can do in 15 minutes, but they have nothing in common. Here's some examples of stuff that took 45 minutes that you might be surprised by. And so when you are getting nail art, you want to send a photo and get a quote or whatever the thing is, and you would write it in a way that is educating people who don't come to you. The people who do are getting this email by proxy. Like, they are getting it and they already know you. So they get it. They probably got, like, once it's established, they got the email for a while before they came to you, potentially. So they're like, oh, I know who she's talking to. Or it will also be part of the, like, exclusivity thing where they read it and they go, oh, I already know that because
Yeah.
go. And so it actually helps, like, in that way as well. But yeah, if you target it as trying to educate the general public instead of educating your clients specifically, and like, I think as well what we've shown with your story and with Pat's story is that we're really doing like what Mel was talking about before, and we can get 3 or 4 newsletters out of one incident if we think of it from different perspectives.
Totally. That makes so much sense. Thank you.
Mel or Pat, do you have anything to add?
The things I thought of was, one, the package, 2, looking into the nail comps, which we were chatting about before. What I'm going to do, what I'm planning for that, you could, I guess, spin that. And then the other thing was that happened last week was catching up with Sheena.
Yeah.
So what could I, like, that would be like a community type thing, or, you know, like no competition type of deal?
And like showing that you promote, like, it's almost like you promote Sheena, which, because you're not in the same area, you're not actually technically promoting her. However, if your avatar is someone who hates the, like, catty bitchy reputation that some parts of the beauty industry can get, when they see you talking about your friend, the other nail tech, and like saying, if you know anybody in her area, she's so cool, go there, that is educating people on what your vibe is. They're going to pick up what you're putting down and be like, oh, she's not a bitch. She's actually cool.
And she's so good that other nail techs want her to do her nails, right? Like, people who know what quality is think she's amazing.
And I did, when I did story it, I was like, put her link there, like, check out Sheena's page here, you know, like.
You mentioning the comps made me think of another thing that could be definite fodder for email marketing, is like the stories of like random cool shit that we get to do. So it's not the case for like everybody, and it depends where we live and stuff like that. But me being in a small town now, lots of the stuff that I used to do is quite city based, but there's still, you know, Mel's still got her story of hanging out with Sheena. We will all have stories of Summit. We will all have stories of like comps and stuff like that. But like when I worked on Dancing with the Stars, like I had an NDA, so I couldn't have done stories about what happens on Dancing with the Stars while the show was on, or like specifically about the things that, or the people that were there. But what I could have done is, after the season ended, tell stories about my time on Dancing with the Stars that had like names removed and like stuff where I wouldn't get in trouble, but people would have still enjoyed reading it because it's like a peek behind the scenes of something they would not normally get to see. Or like, if you do an event where like sometimes there's things crop up where people are like, oh, there's this big PR event or whatever, and they want like a mani bar and we need 7 nail techs to come and work this. people want to read about that. Or like when I've done nails for magazine covers or for music videos and stuff, like, what was it like? Like, people want to know that. So even though you think like, well, it's work, like that's boring, actually it's behind the scenes of something they're not going to get to see or understand. So a story of like comps even could be really interesting, because I know when people see my awards, which as we've said is basically never, but people, the first reaction when they know I've won awards is like, are there competitions? Like, people don't understand, like, what the fuck are we competing in? Like, what, like, how does that even work? So, like, stories about comps and what it was like and that sort of thing, people actually will probably find really interesting.
In terms of thinking about stuff that your clients or potential clients would find interesting as well, I remember as part of the 8-week accelerator, we were working on our content calendars, and I came up with a list of like my pillars, which were the topics that I wanted to talk about or post about that weren't just nails or lashes. And a couple of them are like things like self-care and woo-woo stuff like manifestation and astrology and human design. And I could totally talk about those things in my emails because it's could be fun, like fun stuff. Like, who doesn't want to know about self-care? And it doesn't have to be that I have to come up with stuff. Like, it could literally just be, I saw this self-care app on Facebook. Is this something that you would try? And then maybe there's a link to like one of my latest posts there as well. Like, it could be that simple. I think, like, I've been thinking about this for a long time, but then I just kind of overthink stuff, and then I don't do it, and then I feel like doing something else instead. But it's like on this list.
Well, like, but tying in with that, if it ties in with your avatar, your marketing, your brand and everything, you can be adding in some random ass stuff into this. So like, Pat, you could have like a monthly book review or book club, or like, and it doesn't have to be specifically monthly so that you have to read a book this month, and maybe this month you don't want to, but like, you could, if with accelerator and stuff, we talked about you having like little packages for people, or like little self-care prizes and things that you would give people, or like ways that you would incorporate gifts and like candles and crystals and things into what you do. And one of the ideas that we were talking about is like there being a book as part of the self-care package that you sell. So if that's part of the branding, you could have like, what are you reading this month, or this is what I just finished, or like that sort of thing. And Mel, with your branding being around your plants, and your plants being such a big part of your identity as a human and a brand, you could have a monthly like meet the plants, and it's like photos, and you're like, this is what this one is, and this is what I've learned about like how to look after it, and this is how frustrating this one has been, and this is like, this one I thought was going to go in the kitchen and it tried to die, but when I put it in a dark corner in the laundry, it started flowering. Like, there are going to be people that, some people, when they see, oh, it's one of her plant ones, they'll delete it. Other people will be like, oh, I totally respect like what Mel does, and I find it so intriguing, and I have one of her cuttings, and like they will read that. And it's just developing that brand further.
Yeah, and just connecting. Like, even when you said books, like all of us in our work chat, we're all like salivating over this one book that's just come out. So, for sure our clients are doing the same thing, right?
Yeah. You just have to be careful, no spoilers when you send the email.
Yeah. And even in the chat, they were like, no spoilers, because I'm not going to it. And I was like,
You could just do like a review out of 5 stars and like, or something.
I haven't even started, so it's not going to be me.
Neither.
But I thought that when I said there was a release party here where I live at midnight when the book came out, I didn't even know about it. And I was like, damn it, that would have been such good content.
And like, Pat, with your self-help stuff, I was listening, Mel. This sounds like I just wasn't listening. I was, but I was also thinking, Pat, with yours being self-help-ish, it could also like be a monthly thing, or even part of a weekly thing, where you have like a paragraph from a self-help book, or like a quote that means something, or like something that is self-helpy that you quote at the start, even if it's like a paragraph from a book or whatever, and then you discuss how it resonated with you. And your brand is self-care, so it's okay that your emails are self-care. Like, I've been hearing lots of podcasts lately about the Let Them theory, which is part of like book promotions for Mel Robbins. She's got her own podcast, but she's going on like everybody's podcasts at the moment that I listen to and talking about her book. And so like they are great. I highly recommend that you just search Let Them theory in like Spotify. So good. But like, so you could have like a little blurb, like a little quote from the book, and then, or like take a photo of like a passage that you really like, and that's the top of the email, and the story is like how you're applying it to your life. And it doesn't matter that it's not about nails, or it's not about hair, or it's not about lashes. It is about your brand and the value you give to people. So it is still building know, like, and trust and loyalty and all those things. Hey guys, Future Penny here again. Just a super quick interruption to let you know that if you head to monaco.ac.nz/subscribe, not only can you sign up to our weekly newsletter, but you'll also get a free video lesson from our course, The Art of Pigments. That's monaco.ac.nz/subscribe.
That's so fun, like making it relatable, making it related, even though it's not.
But it is related because we sell relationships, not services. You're selling your brand as a concept. You're not selling that you do nails. So you can then have email. Like the stuff that I send out in the Monaco newsletter is probably 10% specifically nail related. Like most of it is, this thing happened and this is how I then thought about it. Like an email the other week was like, how I'd heard on a podcast, someone said that no one who's doing better than you is going to comment negative things. That's not got anything to do with nails, but it does have something to do with our brand and the reason people feel that they resonate with us.
Is everyone thinking they're going to start email marketing now?
I think so, yeah. Once a week might be a bit much, but could throw a couple once a month or something to start with.
Okay, so that is also, though, a very good point to bring up. So I know, for example, Erin had said during accelerator classes that she was going to think about doing email marketing. And I remember the frequency she said was something like 6 monthly or something like that. So one thing that is generally recommended is that weekly or fortnightly is like the minimum. And it's a very American concept to be sent. Like some people will say like, do it every day or do it 3 times. No, don't do that. I disagree with that. It's a very American concept. And I know we have American listeners that are probably being like, no, I love that. But like, I don't think you need to go daily or like anything like that. However, here's the danger with monthly is that because it's not frequently enough for so people are not going to open every email. It's just not going to happen. They're going to open the emails where the subject line resonates with them, or when they click it and they have a lot of time to kill. So if they're busy, or if the subject line is boring to them, they're just going to delete it. They're not reading every single one. So if you only send one a month, then if you catch them on a day that they are mass deleting, well, now you've actually only sent them one every 2 months. And if when you do that one, it's a subject line they don't care about, they're going to unsubscribe because they haven't got a relationship with your email marketing where they haven't seen enough like emails to then let one bad subject line just be a delete. They'll be like, oh, when did I subscribe to this? Because they haven't seen it regularly enough.
Yeah.
I think fortnightly would probably be the minimum where you can kind of get away with it because it was recent enough that they might remember seeing you. But anything less than that, and it's more likely to be like, what the fuck? I don't need this, unsubscribe. But then in saying that, I completely get how you're like, oh, weekly might be like quite a lot. But I think where you can combat that is if when you like say you might have like a admin that you do every morning or admin that you do every Monday or whatever, you might have something. If every day if you get into that mindset of looking for content, the way that we spill a cup of coffee and think of content, if you get into the habit of sending emails every week, when I see something that's going to make a good newsletter, I have a list on my phone and I just write newsletter dash let them theory or newsletter dash whatever. And I will just leave it in that list. And then when I need to actually write one, I'll go in and be like, oh, that's right. And sometimes I'll look at it and be like, no, I hate that idea. And I'll just delete it. But I'm constantly looking for content and therefore getting the idea. I will also often just write the email and schedule it when I have the idea. So if I'm in my admin time, I'll just be like, oh, I'll just do it now. The other thing as well, they don't have to be long. In fact, they shouldn't be, because people have short attention spans. They need to be like punchy and get to the point, which is why a lot of emails get filled with like a little bit of italics here and a bold bit here and like lots of very short paragraphs, because you're trying to keep the person's attention. So if you can get to the point of a story in like 200 words, no one's going to care. They're going to get the point and like move on. So I think taking the pressure off it having to be this big thing, which is a lot of that, like sometimes you just have to start. Starting's the hardest part, because the first one, I know if I've gone off habit and haven't done one in a few weeks, I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to do this anymore. But when you do it the first time, and then like when you send one, the next day you will find next week's content, because it'll be fresh in your mind. Like you send one email today and tomorrow something will happen and you're like, oh, that can be next week's newsletter. And suddenly you're rolling.
Or you could like even repurpose one of your pieces of content on social media and then just reword it slightly or add more info to it. I know some people do that, where it'll be like they have a short version as a caption on social media, and then in their email it'll be like more in depth, and it's like exclusive as well. Like, you got more details because you signed up for their newsletter that you don't get if you're just following them, which I think is like, hell yeah, I'm like, cool.
And ChatGPT, because sometimes I will have written a note for a newsletter topic, and then what I'll do is I'll see it and I'll be like, what the hell was I gonna talk about? So I will go into ChatGPT and be like, can you draft me a newsletter about this topic? And what it will do is spit out this really annoying, generic, like very AI written piece of shit that I don't want to use. But when I read it, it will tell me what I do want to write about. And then I will write out like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And I'll add my like personal stories, my personal thoughts, and completely just take it as like inspo and write my own thing. And then sometimes put it back into ChatGPT and be like, does this make sense? And it'll like pick out some like long phrasing and stuff and like fix it up a little bit for me. But I think if anyone uses ChatGPT to write the newsletter, you can tell, don't do that. But to go and say, like, if I want to send a newsletter about the fact that I just spilt my cup of coffee, how could I phrase this in a way that would be interesting to potential nail salon clients? And it will tell you. And then some of those ideas will be terrible, but one of them will jog you into being like, oh, that's what I could say. And then you write it in your own words.
There's lots of words of wisdom coming through.
So a couple of more practical, like, wait, how kind of things. We talked about the subject line being important. And one thing that is super handy, this little free tool, is I think it's subjectline.com. And it's free, but you just have to sign up to their newsletter. And then the tool is free. And you go into subjectline.com and you write your subject line that you've come up with, and it scores it out of 100, and it'll say you got plus points on these things. So like an emoji at the start, or like punctuation, or like these random things that they've researched statistically work. And it'll say you lost points because, like, I know one thing that loses you points is any word over 8 characters. statistically get less clicks. And subject lines that are like, say, wait, let me open it up right now, and I'm going to make the subject line How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, because I was talking about that movie last night, and so it's in my head. And when I think subject lines, I always think so many like how to this or top 5 this. So How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I'm typing that and I'm clicking evaluate. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days has a subject line score of 71 out of 100, minus 8 points because I didn't use any capital letters, minus 9 points because the first letter was not capitalized, minus 15 points because it needs subtle urgency, and minus 7 because it starts with how, which will be because that's such a generic subject line. But it got plus 3 points because it contains a number. It got plus 6 because it contains how to. And then it will give you suggestions. So it's like it said you need subtle urgency. So it's like 10 days to win him back now. Or the secret to winning hearts in 10 days. Or it says tactic change. How to win a client in 10 days. Add suspense, foolproof romance tips in 10 days. Like it adds all these new suggestions. Then you can put a new one in and reevaluate it and try and get yourself to 100. And it's so good. It's such a good tool. So that's a real good one for trying to get subject lines. I will say, like, often the subject lines that do the best are the least generic ones. So I will try and put into subjectline.com, like, I guess kind of like how Mel's so good at talking to her avatar. Like, I will try and write the subject line as if it was the title of an email I'm sending the avatar. Like, like if I was sending, like, Pat a story about some dumb thing that happened to me yesterday as a friend, I'm not going to be like, 5 tips for not, like, something, I don't know.
Spilling your tea.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, oh my God, guess what happened? Kind of thing. And so I will try and write the subject line originally from a perspective of, like, almost friend to friend, like, I'm about to tell you this story and you should look at it, but then I will still put it into subjectline.com and have it evaluated, and it will make it, like, better. A lot of the marketing, the email software platforms as well allow you to A/B test. So you tell it 2 subject lines and it sends, like, so say you've got 100 people on your list, you can say, okay, here's subject line A, and it will send it to 10 of those people. Here's subject line B, it will send it to 10 of those people. And in 2 hours' time, whichever subject line has been clicked the most will go out to the other 80 people.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's
That's amazing.
Tool that's available in most of these platforms as well.
I'm just like, I just wanted to test it out. So I decided to put something to do with the moon boot. So it's like we're learning live kind of thing. The first one I did was I said, like, why more sleep landed me in a moon boot. And then it was like, it needs urgency, blah, blah, blah. It gave me some ideas and it scored me, I think, 81. So then I tried it again and I changed it. And then I changed it to this daily habit got me hurt, find out how. And it's like, now it's an 87, but it still needs subtle urgency, minus 15, but it contains punctuation, so +1 and +1 for how. And then it's got, like, more suggestions and how it makes it more fun, like ouch or shocked emoji. I'm like, okay, that's so cool. And they have a podcast.
And they also update the tool regularly. So, like, trends in subject lines change the same way, like, the algorithms on socials change. Like, people get sick of stuff or they, like, cotton on to the same old bullshit. So, but this tool updates, like, with current, like, things that are currently working. So the only other thing before we start to wrap up the episode, which is kind of important, is how do you get people to email? So obviously you'll have clients, but we've just spent all this time talking about how we really want to be emailing warm people, not necessarily hot people. So there are a few different ways. Giveaways are a pretty easy one, but, like they're okay, but you might not necessarily be getting your avatar. So like a really easy common one you'll see is people being like, sign up to my newsletter and you might get this. But if you do that just across Facebook with a boosted post, chances are you're going to get really low quality people. Where that has worked for me is when I've done events like ones I've talked about before, like Chicks at the Flicks, which for anyone who's unaware, that's like when a movie comes out, one of the cinema chains here used to, I don't know if they still do, they would often do these like premiere events where a movie was coming out. You could spend a bit extra on a ticket and you would get to see the movie on the night it came out. You got a goodie bag, like all these things. And the goodie bags were good. Like you'd get books, magazines, like full-size food, like full-size beauty products, like they were real good. And we would do something like that where we would, as a salon, or sometimes as Monaco, but usually as a salon, go and set up a stand and have our nail art wheels out and stuff and offer mini manicures. And we would sometimes do it at a charge, but honestly, usually it was a marketing thing. So it was just like, come sit down, we'll paint your nails real quick, and that's it. Like, off you go again. But what we would do is do a giveaway there where if you wanted to go in to win a full manicure, you just had to write your name and your email address. Well, the people doing that are my avatar because they are in my area, because I'm at an event in my area. So they're in my area. It's an event targeted at women and my avatar is female. They're people with enough disposable income to spend $50 on a movie ticket instead of like, so that they get all these extra, because you get like a drink and stuff like that as well. So they're people with enough income that they are going and spending money on like special events instead of just waiting for the movie to come out on Netflix. Like, these people are my avatar. So I can do bulk like email collecting in the form of a giveaway because that giveaway is targeted to my avatar. Whereas a giveaway just on social media boosted is going to get all the people that just want free shit, not the people that are necessarily going to book in one day. So that's one way of collecting email addresses for sure, is giveaways, but giveaways that are specifically targeted. And like Pat, you could do a collaboration with your local crystal shop that you've talked about before. And like, so people that are in there that spend more than $50 can then enter to go in the draw to win a manicure. And it feels to the customer like the crystal shop is doing something really lovely for them. So that is a plus for the crystal shop to want to do this with you. But also by putting a price limit on who can enter, you have made them be people that have disposable income. Mel, yours could be that you have a stand at like a craft fair where you are just sitting there doing nail art on tips, and what you're doing is showing like the way that, like, I don't know, you can take a bunch of traditional polishes with you and be like, the point of my stall is I am selling these polishes, but I am also painting and doing these things. And a craft fair is generally likely to be more female than male statistically. Your avatar is a super crafty person. Like you're collecting, and it's going to be local, like stuff like that. But so going and setting up a stall, and you could also do mini manicures and stuff, but you just want to be in that like craft zone where it makes sense for you to be there. But that would be a way that you run a competition, get people to sign up to your mailing list in order to win such and such, but they are your avatar. And then the other way to build the list would be, aside from giveaways, is what's called a freemium, which we've talked about in different contexts, but giving something away that is more of a resource and the person gets it in exchange for their email address. So in the context of Monaco, we have a few of them floating around. So like we have a resource that's like how to recession proof your salon. And sometimes we just put the link up, but often we have ads running that are like, here's our free resource, how to recession proof your salon. But to get it, you put your email address in first. You guys can absolutely be doing the same thing targeting nails. So if you go into Canva and you make a PDF that is like 5 ways to make sure your gel manicure lasts 4 weeks, whatever you come up with, and the PDF is just cute, it's on a nice template, and it's some tips and tricks for like why cuticle oil actually works, and how if you go into the spa every night, like how your nails expand and contract, like you can put actual information in there that is really relevant to people. Or, you know, it's just anything that like makes people curious, like why we never put gel on kids, or I don't know. But there's ways that you can educate people, and then what you do is that's where you can use Facebook and Instagram ads and stuff. You have the freemium, you make sure it's valuable, you make sure it's targeted to your avatar as well. So like, Becca, I just know that you really like the education side of things. So like crystals and books with Pat, and plants and stuff with Mel, and more so for you, I think that your thing, like your branding is like more your expertise in my head. That's what I see it as. So like those, and that might be off, and you might want to like, you might be like, no, well actually I'm going to do something totally different. You can have freemiums that aren't nail specific as well. So like,
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Pat's freemium, and this is why I said, Becca, like I can think of specific examples for the other two.
But that's it. Like that kind of ties in anyway, right? Because it's very like detail orientated and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure I could make that all, connect.
Okay, so for self-care, there are a couple that I was thinking about doing. One thing could be 5 ideas for your self-care routine, and then it could just be around the 5 cents.
So hold your next thought, but I want to add to it. Well, actually 2 comments, because first of all, in Recession Proof Your Salon, the 10th thing is becoming an affiliate for Monaco. So like the subtle like add in a promo, of course, because you are promoting yourself. You just make sure that it's 20, not 80% of the content. But also make sure that freemium, so the freemium you just described with like 5 self-care things, is generic enough that you're in danger of it not targeting your avatar. So your avatar still needs to want their nails done. You take that idea and you just find a way to make it like slightly targeted to beauty girls or nail girls or creative girls, or men, whatever your target is. I just know your avatar is a woman. A generic 5 self-care things is a little too generic. I can get that anywhere. I go on Pinterest and search self-care. I go on Google, search self-care. I can go on Instagram and trick the algorithm into feeding it to me for the next 7 years of my life very easily. So you need to take that idea, which is a good idea and it is on brand, but you need to take that idea and slightly more, you know how we take avatars and we target our socials and stuff to a specific human being because being specific works. You just want to take that idea, which is a good idea, like just making it a little more targeted. And then what was your next idea? Penny from the future here, reminding you to sign up for our free 5-day nail tech launchpad. It's the perfect, no pressure way to dip your toes in and see if nail tech life is right for you. monaco.ac.nz/launchpad.
And then my next idea, which is also very relevant to Erin, is like, it could be like 12 phone wallpapers that relate to astrology, but the way it's themed is to do with like your zodiac / nails. So it could be like an Aries themed manicure as a wallpaper.
That is a banger of an idea because it's very specific to your avatar and what they would want to read. But it's also very specific to nails. You can also, if you really wanted to, create 12 of them for 12 different zodiac signs with $15, $30, and $45 options, or with like witchy meanings, or like things that will, like art that will help you manifest finance, art that will help you manifest like relationships, whatever. Make 12 of them, because on Meta you can target your ads to people's birthdays. You could, if you really wanted to put that amount of work into it and it was going to be a freemium that you ran for a really long time, you could have each one targeted to that specific sign. And so me being Pisces, I'm only going to be seeing ones that say like how to use your nails to manifest finance in 2025 for Pisces. And then it says like, yeah, put your email in. Okay. And Mel, your freemium could totally be plant related or like craft related or anything. It just then also needs to tie in. I guess it doesn't really work this way if it's your target is clients, but like, I mean, you could do like a little easy floral nail art tutorial that you can do at home, and you could have a tutorial like video or graphics where you are teaching someone how to do, like, say for example, daisies with a bobby pin and traditional polish, piece of cake. You could do a tutorial, but then in the resource are also images of the work you do, which is a whole different league compared to that. So I'm not too this isn't my favorite idea that we've brainstormed, but because it's teaching people how to do the thing you want them to pay you to do. But it would take people that were specifically interested in your vibe, specifically interested in nails, and then subtly show them how much better than you are.
Even in our work chat, some of the other guys are like, oh my God, you have to show me how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just want to make sure, again, you're targeting your avatar, and you don't want to be teaching your avatar how to do nails and then they're not coming to you. But I still think that, like, for your avatar specifically, Mel, the fact that she's a crafty person and like all these things, I think doing her own nails would be interesting to her. And then if she was signed up to your mailing list and she started reading your stories and seeing how much smarter than her you are as a nail tech, like she would be the sort of person that would be like, oh shit, I didn't know that about gel undercuring. Like, she would take on and respect your knowledge. And then after a couple of times of painting her own bobby pin daisies, she'd be like, I'm going to treat myself to go to Mel because I've seen all these stories. I know she's smart. I know she's good. And then she comes to you, and then you become unquittable for her. And then she never goes back to doing her bobby pin daisies. But that's how you hooked her, and that's how you got her email list.
Could she also do something like which manicure suits your plant parent personality kind of thing? So it's like a little quiz, and it figures out, like, for example, if someone's just, I'm going to get a ZZ plant because it's no frills, maybe that means they're more of a basic manicure. If there's someone who has like a jungle, maybe they're supposed to have like a really leafy, artistic, floral nail art kind of thing. I don't know, just like putting an idea out there.
Yes, and quizzes are a fantastic way to collect email addresses. Any quiz that's like, what service should you be wearing, what nail art best suits you, but you don't get the result till you enter your email address. Quizzes, incredible idea. I don't know if like that specific, like which plant thing works for you. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, but I think that's not really Juno's vibe. Yeah, like the which thing fits this for you vibe is way more like your avatar, Pat, or like I would click that because I just like learning about myself, even if it's BuzzFeed bullshit. Yeah, I still want to know which sandwich I am.
I love that shit. Mel, what would Juno like? What does ChatGPT think Juno would like? Maybe you should ask. Or like what freemium/quiz Juno would click on. It's, I think, a good question.
Yeah, well, we do need to wrap this episode up a little bit. So maybe as we wrap this up, what are, from both of you, those first ideas for freemiums or things that you're going to target your avatars with?
I think mine would be, like you said, just the nail art tutorials, because it comes back to that like no competition zone, right? Like teaching someone else how to do like leaves and flowers doesn't take anything away from me.
Yeah, I mean, clients used to always question when they arrived, when everything was all under one roof. Clients would arrive and be like, what were you doing today? How's your day been? I'd be like, oh, I taught a nail art class. And people would regularly be like, aren't you worried that they're going to take all your clients? And I'm like, no. If they take all my clients, they deserve to, because if I've been doing this like 18 years longer than them and they're so good that they can take all my clients, more power to them. There's a reason I'm teaching and they're learning. And then Pat, what's your first move going to be?
I think my first move is I'm going to set up my platform for the email marketing. And then I'm going to double check with ChatGPT what ideas would best suit Marissa and then pick one. Because I've been toying with this for a while and I wanted to fit in with my marketing campaign that I've been working on. So yeah, it's just a good reminder to be working on this.
So I would say that for both of you and for every single person listening, find an email marketing platform. MailChimp, Brevo, there's heaps that are really, really expensive, but like there's lots that aren't. MailChimp we used for ages, Brevo we use now, both are fine. We used ActiveCampaign in between, but I just switched because it was so expensive and we weren't utilizing the features that make it expensive. Find your platform, and then all of those platforms allow you to set up a sign-up form. And so every single person's challenge is that within the next 24 hours, you have a link to a sign-up form that you can add to your link tree, add to your Facebook bio, add to your website, like so that people can start organically signing up to your newsletter. And then even if the first newsletter goes to one person, it'll get you starting to do it. And if the first newsletter goes to one person, guess what? In 6 months, you copy and paste it and you send it again because no one's going to know. Alrighty, with that done and dusted, before you guys disappear, like our page or follow the podcast so that you don't miss the next episode. We'll be back next week. Can't remember whose turn it is. So, Mel, what are we covering next week?
Next week, we're talking about mindset and shifting your mindset and things like that.
With who?
Erin, our fave.
Yay. Sucks to be Becca. Whoa.
Yeah. Sorry, Becca.
Out with the old and with the new.
Yeah.
Becca did have to pop off. I don't know if I will have edited that out, but she had to pop off to a client a couple of minutes ago. So until next week, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching Monaco Nail Academy, or follow our salons. Mine is Hard Lacquer NZ.
Mine is Jungle Nails NZ.
And Becca's, I think, is Nails by Becca NZ on Instagram, and Woodbine Studios Nails by Becca on Facebook.
Mine is Pat to the Beauty. Bye.
I think. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next time.